A very warm welcome to all the participants. I, Dr. Syed Mubin Zahra, welcome you all to this session, third day, day 3, session 3 of IQAC Atmaram Sanatan Dharm College accredited grade A NAC All India 13th rank to this 2-week online interdisciplinary refresher course bilingual on the topic the quintessential educator challenges and opportunities in the changing world. उत्कृष्ट शिक्षक बदलती दुनिया में चुनौतियां और अवसर. I am. It's a great honor to welcome Professor Ujjwal Kumar Singh. He's amidst us now. Professor Singh will be speaking to us on the topic pedagogy in the times of pandemic. I have to confess here, sir, Professor Ujjwal, that I have been given a summary of your bio because my friends feel that I always read the entire bio. उन्होंने मुझे आपकी bio की summary दी है, so my apologies that if I miss out on something. So before I'll just introduce Professor Ujjwal Kumar.
मैं छोड़ दे, मैं वैसे ही बात कर दूंगा. आप आ गई हैं तो
I'll just introduce our participants to our honorable guest. Professor Ujjwal Kumar Singh is the former head and professor in the Department of Political Science, University of Delhi. Sir has obtained his PhD from the School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London, known as SOAS, popularly known as SOAS. He was earlier a fellow at the Center for Contemporary Studies, Nehru Memorial Museum and Library, Teen Murti Bhavan, New Delhi. He was ICCR's Rajiv Gandhi Chair Professor in Contemporary Studies at the University of Technology, Sydney in 2012. Sir has been a visiting professor in many Indian universities as well as in abroad like University of Würzburg, Germany, University of Technology, Sydney, etc. Sir has been writing on a range of themes including democracy and social movements, law and democracy and political institutions in India. He is the author of the book Political Prisoners in India, State Democracy and Anti-Terror Laws in India. He has also co-edited Towards Legal Literacy, An Introduction to Law in India, and is also the editor of the book Human Rights and Peace, Ideas, Laws, Institutions and Movements. His latest published book, co-authored with Professor Anupama Roy, is on Election Commission of India, Institutionalizing Democratic Uncertainties, and many more. He has also worked as a policy expert on India for the Sustainable Governance Indicator, SGI, project for the BRICS countries. The study led the publication of the report titled Change Ahead, Sustainable Governance in BRICS, Verlag, Bertelsmann Stiftung, Guttel's Law, 2013. Sir's articles, there are innumerable articles of Sir in various international and national journals and publication. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you, Professor Ujjwal Kumar Singh. And Sir will be, as I already mentioned, Sir will be speaking on pedagogy in the times of pandemic. So welcome, the stage is yours. Namaskar, sir. Please.
Thank you so much. It's been my privilege to be associated with the FDP program conducted by THC Center, ARSD. And I'm grateful to Dr. Jha, Principal ARSD, and Dr. Agarwal, Principal Ramanujan. Incidentally, these are the two colleges which I know of who actually conducted academic audit, which is a great thing to do, whether it's pandemic or non-pandemic. I don't know of any other Delhi City college, but I think that's a huge achievement, to go through that entire process. The colleagues join, they, present their case, and an academic audit takes place. So many congratulations to Professor Jha and Professor Agarwal. I'm also grateful to Vinita, who's been active all the time, Anjali Gupta ji and Rajiv Nayan ji, TLC from Ramanujan College, and of course, Chair Dr. Zahra. So, thought of, it's late title, I sent the title a bit late, but thought of pandemic and pedagogy because it connects with the contemporary. See, the real concern is because that's what I'm going to raise is all such platforms we reach out, we able to connect, but we interact so little. And education does not serve a purpose when we do not interact, then we do not have kind of dialogue. So since the time I joined, I saw Dr. Ajit Kumar, Dr. Vikas Kumar, Dr. Anita Singh, Dr. Kuljit Kaur. I wish everyone was on screen, on video, because with Zoom we can sustain, so that one can actually see each other and talk to each other. And I like, if you have a chat box section, I'm open to chat, in the sense I won't type, but I'll immediately respond to queries and questions. It means as a teacher, I am that. I'm not here, I'm here as a colleague, but all of us as a teacher actually enjoy our session when there's some interaction taking place, because the entire tenor of what I'm going to say is about dialogue. It's not about what Paulo Freire calls about banking system of education. So I'll bring in Paulo Freire. And I don't know, with everything, the moment to start, what the pandemic has given opportunity, and the global education platform have given us opportunity, that we immediately start searching what kind of literature exists, what is new we can learn. So I did the same. I also searched, and then I saw there's actually scholars are defining what is pandemic pedagogy. And those things small, but they matter. Dr. Zera, I'm also bilingual, so any chance, if anyone urges, I can speak in Hindi.
Most welcome, sir. Thank you.
So in terms of understanding what is pandemic, first let's take up what is pedagogy, what we mean, because sometimes the words like stands so heavy in our mind that we are unable to go beyond the word and actually go to the meaning as such. So in a way, pedagogy simply, in Hindi it will mean Shiksha Shastra. But if we break into categories, it will be science of teaching, instruction, training. तो अब निर्देश भी हो सकता है, शिक्षा भी हो सकती है, शिक्षा शास्त्र भी हो सकता है, pedagogy. But if as a speaker, if as a teacher, if as someone who's delivering, if instructive, then it has impact. But it's not the same as having a dialogue. So pedagogy is more than just delivering something. It's about knowing each other. It's about interacting with each other. Conventionally, as a teacher, what we have seen most of the time, it's instructive, it's delivery, it's a training. But I think that's insufficient. And I'm sure all of us as a colleague, we know, given a chance, all of us would like to speak for minute or two each as such. So pedagogue, who is a pedagogue? A teacher. शिक्षक कौन है? जो शिक्षा साथ को कैरी करता है, so pedagogue is a teacher, a शिक्षक. Pedagogics is the science or principle of teaching. How to teach. Quintessential teacher, and I've carried what Upinder Bakshi has to say. There is no a teacher. All of us are teachers in our own ways, and all of us have our own thinking. So there is a habit many times, like when I did my MA, then I imbibed many of the pedagogy which my teachers used to use, right? So Manoranjan Mohanty always started class by standing next to the blackboard, and he used to ask, okay, here is a concept called development. What do you understand? And then everyone said, okay, development means growth, development means this and that, and everything he was writing on the board. So I learned from there. But then there was also another teacher, Professor Ranveer Singh, who's supposed to be, who is a legend now no alive. But so what happened? He used to bring in small episodes. So I remember one of the episodes he used to talk about Bihar, and he used to say, okay, what conditions exist in Bihar? Then many of us were from Bihar, we used to say, okay, things are very bad, it's anarchic, we're coming to Delhi because we are not getting, that kind of education over there. And then we'll say, okay, isn't the state withering over there? and he brought in the whole concept of state withering away from Karl Marx. So it was some kind of humor which was there, some kind of sarcasm which was there, but it opened your mind. It actually gave you insight. It just completely gave you new ideas. So he was another teacher, and then my teacher was Meera Chando. We were in awe of her. So when she came and spoke, we all listened. So we had range of teachers as such. We all as a teacher. So there's not one teacher. There are many teachers, and there are many teaching ways of teaching. So if you're looking at one model, there's no one model. We all will have to evolve in our own way. And the whole purpose is to how to connect with students, to understand them, to relate with them. Fine. Now, I know there will be an issue about pedagogy and that critical juncture over here, but we'll come to that. What pedagogy has, what pandemic has done to pedagogy, and what new education policy will do to pedagogy. That's something which we'll address very briefly. And there's pedagogism, that is spirit or system of pedagogy, Shikshatva, that's there. Most of the time, and that is the difficult part. Difficult part is society ascribes to us a certain role. We are supposed to be knowledgeable. We are supposed to be role model as a teacher. So there is a responsibility upon us, and one cannot shy away from that. We do have a responsibility. But then what happens many a times, we start expecting conformity from the students. We want them to learn our voice. We want to transform them into our vision. Now, a serious critical pedagogy should not be about conformity. It should not be following, imbibing what you are only delivering. A serious pedagogic practice would be where you actually sort of open the minds so that the concerned student raises questions. And that's absolutely important. To the extent that the concerned student should be prepared to question you as a teacher, fine, your wisdom, your knowledge, so that, the student learns by questioning, by critical questioning. But what we are missing, and let's not miss that, we learn because participants, because students question us. So, our own thinking will be sharpened when we hear and somebody challenges us, questions us, right? I know many colleagues would say, okay, won't that lead to anarchy? It may at some point of time. The only way to bring, and I don't like this term, but I have to use this term, to bring order would be to bring in evidences, to bring in arguments, and which is not such an easy task. Trust me, which is not an easy task. Especially, you can bring evidence. That's not so difficult to bring evidence, because evidences, historical evidences are there, natural science evidences are there, physical evidences are there. But to have an argument and sharpen the arguments based upon rationality and logic is the most difficult task to do. Fine. So any pedagogy which carries on with conformity will be self-defeating, because here we are not only to carry on what we believe and what we have learned. Education institution has a role to play in transformation. So when we talk of transformation, it does not happen automatically. We do it through the students. So students, when they learn and when they challenge, so, as a teacher, and probably it's a good time, and I'll go back to something I raised, about definition, but probably something which is part of our life. It's kind of contradiction which exists within us, which is, and let me bring this in terms of what, Upen Bakshi talks about. He says, somehow we have all accepted the distinction between the oral and written. teaching perishes with the teacher. Teaching perishes with the teacher. What we speak in our classroom for 10, so I realize I've actually completed now 35 years of teaching, and I still, trust me, I know so little. I know so little that, but remember, from my first batches to present batch, we have to give something, we have to learn something, but then that is perishable, that will go. Next year there'll be another one, and next year there'll be another. So every batch is every set of students is a juror. They're sitting as a jury over there, fine? Not that they're evaluating us, not that they're marking us, but they are in their own mind frame, placing what kind of pedagogy, what kind of teacher, what kind of subject is opening up the mind, fine? So this is what Upen Bakshi says. Somehow we have all accepted the distinction between the oral and the written. So oral is our classroom, like over here, like when we are interacting, this is oral. Teaching perishes with the teacher, whereas the corpus of writing survives. For many years, I just carried on with oral tradition, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. But I'm conscious that, teacher is not only there as a part of classroom. Students are smart enough. They say, okay, you're saying, sir, but where do I get evidence? Have you written anything? Has anyone else written on anything? But the classic contradiction with us, with Dr. Zehra, between you and me, and with all participants, all teachers of here, is that there is a pressure that we have to take classes, we have to perform there, and then we also have to do research. We have to also write articles, we have to also write books. So in a way, we carry this contradiction also, that you will be, you'll be living beyond your own blood and flesh when something is laid before the society, what you've written, which will be in the form of article books, which in fact people may not know you and see you, like very few people know me, but they may actually read what I may have written. So between written and the oral, so as a part of pedagogic practices, how do we combine these two? It's an extreme challenge for all of us, and we need to do that. So in a sense, as Jacques Derrida said in a different context, writing is a carrier of death, signifying the absence of the speaker. Writing is the carrier of death. It does not matter who's the speaker. Writing is the one which is there, and the author is gone over there, right? Teaching in the profoundest of the sense of the word has always appeared to me sacrificial. This is Upen Bakshi, former Vice Chancellor and a legal jurist. He still writes in Indian Express. Very few of us know that he had a stroke. With willpower, he recovered. He speaks and he writes. And he writes columns, in Express, in Hindu, you may see. So let me repeat this again. Teaching, in the profoundest sense of the term, of the word, has always appeared to me sacrificial. So it's kind of, you sacrifice yourself. It's like sacrificial. A process in which the best articulation of personality is achieved in the least lasting form. So, when you think of a teacher, someone who's taught in your school days, someone who's taught in your undergraduate, someone who's taught in your postgraduate, someone who's been supervisor, anyone, and not only in academic institution, you learn outside also, fine, in the community. You remember the wisest word. I remember one of the statement which I heard from a laborer. I'm not just celebrating, but this was a word. He said, "हर लोग अपना समाज ढूंढता है." Everyone actually tries to find their own society. I thought that was a profound word which I heard from a laborer, that everyone looks for their own, societies, samaj. Samaj is much more like, vivid, much more clear as such. So you can, anyway. So Upen Bakshi says, teaching in the profoundest sense of the word has always appeared to me sacrificial, a process in which the best articulation of personality is achieved in the least lasting form. It does not last. 1 week, 2 new class you thoroughly enjoy, fine. Students may not enjoy. Sometimes students enjoy, you don't enjoy. But that's gone. That's that day. Next day you are again a teacher, again with new ideas, and third day, fourth day, fifth day, entire semester, entire year, you're going. And that set of students in your classroom, see, remember, they are new. They are looking for adventure. They are looking, it's difficult to grab the attention. So you have to always, every day you have to reinvent yourself, which is a difficult task. So we are both performer, we are actually knowledge disseminators, and we are actually mentors. We are in many ways friends, because at undergraduate level, at postgraduate level, many times it's shaping their lives. Ideas matter. Ideas, believe me, trust me, they change the world, because ideas about consciousness. So teaching is all about consciousness. It's not just tabula rasa. It's not just like empty plate. Fine. Actually, it's constantly being reinvented. So when we actually eat, when we have our lunch and dinner, do we have the same thing every day and every morning, every evening? We don't. We look for changes. We look for different dishes as such. Teaching we need to do in that manner. We need to bring something new all the time. It's not that you're actually inventing a new idea, but to explain what is freedom is extremely challenging. Fine. Remember the times in which you live, the context in which you live in, your classroom, which is a new classroom, a new year, a new classroom. And you, remember, you cannot ossify. You can't frame yourself in certain time wrap and say, okay, this is done. I've prepared my notes and I'll go on there. So no, any amount of Isaiah Berlin to Concept of Liberty won't work. That is reading, but beyond reading, we have to live with them, explain to them. So then you bring poetry, you bring prose, you bring some incident from history, fine, some context, fine. So Dr. Martin Luther King's speeches, amazing, fine. If you talk in terms of freedom, sometimes bring Dr. Martin Luther King, sometimes bring Gandhi, sometimes bring Ambedkar, and the class would be new every time. So the teacher, so in the process in which the teacher herself, as it were, fire at the altar of knowledge. Upen Bakshi, that's what he was speaking. I like this whole idea, teacher as a sacrificial entity who actually, lives every day, but then gives up part of his or him in the classroom. He also says something very important. And especially people from humanities and social sciences are more aware. And if they are colleagues from life sciences, I want to address to them, because increasingly I'm realizing that most of these higher education institutions, they are primarily life sciences, natural sciences institution. So let's not shy away from the today's newspapers and the reports which you may be getting on WhatsApp about Academic Council of Delhi University, which has passed new education policy. And you can see, in fact, if you do a quantitative analysis, in Delhi University, social science, humanities are only small part of. If you're looking at 100 departments, there'll be only 10%. 90% would be sciences. But this 10% always is in the news. So if you quantify and you make that, color coding, you'll find that 10% actually takes space of 60-70% of space. Why not the same discussion about natural sciences? Why are they're invisible in these things? It's not as if they're not contests. In fact, sciences develop only by the principle of refutation. You refute one set of principles and then a new idea which come up. So increasingly, I believe, and let's not shy away from those are from humanities and social sciences. They have a special role to play. So, past few years, I saw many conferences, many webinars on Dr. Ambedkar. I've also been part of it. I also learned a lot. Let me just tell you one sharp thing which he spoke, and you will find this is very, very seditious. Fine, these 3 words. These are very, very disruptor. These 3 words. But well, that's the motto. What did he say? He said, educate, agitate, and organize. That's what education is all about. You have to educate, you have to agitate, and you have to organize, fine? And basically, and then he says, have faith and lose no hope. The full line, have faith, lose no hope. This is spoken on 20th July 1942, fine? It was a Marathi speech, and we get the translation. Now, if that is the structure, that is what education is supposed to do. It has to educate, it has to organize, it has to agitate, not for the sake of it, because we know Dr. Ambedkar believed in constitutional morality. He said, do within the framework of constitutional mechanism, right? Having accepted that, education has a certain purpose to perform. Education in a developing world has to bring about changes because society remains unequal and there are many fault lines, whether it's nationality, whether it's class, whether it's gender, whether it's class and things like this. It has to perform that kind of role. So our pedagogy has to be tuned to bring about a certain kind of change. Remember, I'm not saying that you transform your subject matter in a manner so that there is so suppose I believe in this certain philosophy. To change is not to make students conform to my belief system. To change is to actually sow enough of doubt in the mind that tomorrow they start their own question, including you, including as a colleague. Right? That's what you have to do. And then you have, see many of the, I know I say that I want to have dialogue and time runs away. It's already 3:59. I'm keeping an eye on the watch. So I should take another 15-20 minutes and then I hope that people
you can comfortably be bilingual also. There's no issue.
हाँ, आप समझ रहे मैं बहुत चाह रहा हूँ कि मैं कुछ और भाषा बदल के बोलूं तो मैं उस पे आऊं मैं जैसा भी होगा मैं आऊंगा बिल्कुल सही आप बता रही
नहीं मैं just I mean I thought I should just please carry on sir please.
So completely different pedagogy. And all I'm saying is I'm just trying to remind my colleagues over here because I've seen you have eminent, very knowledgeable set of speakers over here. Many of you itching to learn actually how to create a Microsoft Team classroom, how to prepare a PowerPoint presentation, how to get online processes, how to dig resources from global platforms. Those are very important, and there are others that I've seen the program, there are eminent people who will be speaking on that. But I just want to remind something which is fundamental to education. That's why I brought Dr. Ambedkar. And let me bring Gandhi also. Because there is a mismatch. There will be tension between what we're doing now and what is the philosophy which is part of Indian tradition. So we all know that handicraft was very, very important part of Gandhi's framework. Right? And basically said that it is the whole education of the body and mind and the soul should be brought in through the handicraft that is taught to the children. And he said, you have to draw out all that is in the child through teaching all the process of the handicraft, and all your lessons in history, geography, arithmetic will be related to the craft. Now that's kind of, let's take handicraft as a symbol, let's take Charkh as a symbol. But idea is hands-on education, which a new education policy talks about. I think there's a differential between the disruption which pandemic brought in, because with pandemic we have a different mode of training and online education as it is happening, whereas new education policy actually brings in a very strong sense both vocationalization, fine, and hands-on approach, fine. So how do you connect? So for Gandhi, the wholesome education was which connect body, mind, and soul. And remember, technology cannot be substitute for that. Technology may be medium, but that's not a substitute, fine? Because if we talk of connecting body, mind, and soul, it is the classroom. It is our societal context in which we're going to do that, right? And then what he said, you can teach, pick up any handicraft in any region of the country, ask students to learn about it and connect that handicraft with its own history, with its own geography, and with its own arithmetic. So if you look at the country, entire country, you'll find different kind of, see, remember that handicraft, handy is important, fine? So, you have to mind, body, soul, you have to connect. Fine. And again, I won't go into great detail of what Gandhi talked about. Many of us believe he's irrelevant because of his idiosyncratic idea about cattle, about handicraft, against industrialization. But I think Gandhi was talking about something deeper. He was talking about the soul force. He was talking about the body and connect with soul. So he was talking about the purpose of education, not just a technique and method, but also the whole purpose and the goal of what we are making to ourselves. And his very powerful work in Swaraj actually reminded the Europeans, and he said, well, go back to your own values as such. Partly, in terms of not exactly Gandhian, but this is what Bakshi also says. To my mind, teaching and learning are acts of social intervention, and they're complete when knowledge accumulated. The erudite way is enriched by knowledge earned through encounters, which interrogates tyranny, injustice, and exploitation, enacted before our own eyes, even as we teach and learn, teach within inverted comma, and learn within inverted commas. So we teach and we learn, but whole purpose of education has to question these inequalities, right? These tyrannies, these injustices and exploitation. After all, they're happening around us, right? If science is blind to poverty, what purpose is science serving? It has to find an answer. If science is unable to give answer to pandemic, fine, pseudoscience won't work. It has to be scientific query, incessant. There's no given answer, fine. And we have seen the crisis of science. So please don't take me that I'm anti-science. I don't have any running battle with life sciences. That's not the issue. But all I'm saying is, we need to connect, we need to question, we need not be blind follower of science that they had all the answer. We all have seen, we all colleagues over here have seen, we all have suffered during pandemic, we all have seen that the medicines which were prescribed earlier were found irrelevant later. Remember, these are coming from the best of scientific community all over the world. All I'm saying is, remember, learning is incessant. Don't stop. Don't be a blind follower. Don't be even a blind follower of science. So now we give up a body to a doctor, right? We sometimes give body to healer also. And there's a relation between healer and the medicine, and healer and doctor, right? Over here with science. So there has to be critical questioning of that. Bakshi's own, and finally that's what he says, Bakshi's own thing is, very early on, I developed an approach in teaching as a confessional activity. Confession. Every time I bite at the fruit of knowledge, I have to say, I realize the core of my ignorance. And I fully agree with Professor Bakshi. This teaching as a confessional activity. You speak something, you tell something, but you have 10 questions in mind and you don't have an answer immediate sense. So many times when you're in classroom, students ask for answers. They ask, okay, sir, tell us what is the answer. We all tend to actually carry an answer. Sometimes it's wiser enough to sit back and say, why don't you think? I have also an answer. You may also have an answer. Let's interact. Let's find something. Sometimes there's no neat answer, right? Sometimes there's no neat answer. So especially when you're doing experiential method, when you're carrying your own experiences, answers may vary, but do respect different answers. Fine? It's not that one is yes and no and you demean other, because ultimately pedagogy will work with respect, equal dialogue. Fine? That would be say. And then further, what Bakshi does, he questions this whole idea of specialization. And he says, I'm happy that I'm not a specialized person, because the specialization, there'll be deeper knowledge in one, but narrow vision as such. So in that sense, even though we all write on something, we all try to specialize, especially in natural sciences, life sciences, you'll find very, very specialized unit in medical sciences, fine. Likewise, atomic energy, space, etc., etc. But all he's saying, until your fundamentals are sound, where you interconnect, things, interconnect knowledge, interconnect ideas, then only you're able to say something important about certain specialized idea. So, in terms of pandemic, pedagogy is about teaching learning with new approaches, that's no doubt. Pedagogy also in times of pandemic is that which covers related to online education conducted under pandemic. It's also synonymously used with emergency remote learning and teaching. And I'll emphasize the term emergency remote learning and teaching, because what comes as emergency, if it becomes a norm, there's the deeply uncomfortable idea about that. Fine. So emergency has to be special. But if that special thing becomes norm, then the very idea of special or emergency is gone. Fine. And in that sense, we have to be really alert that what comes as a part of pedagogy, as a part of pandemic, need not become normal. It need not become a substitute for exhaustive classroom dialogical interaction. Fine? Because knowledge is not something which, any colleague over here, whether Dr. Zehra or Dr. Tuli, are just reading and writing, digging and writing. Knowledge is about sharing, right, and interacting in a classroom. We are above all a teacher, and we exist because the classroom is there, fine. Otherwise, people are aware that there is tool technology, but even those who actually believe that online mode would be substitute for our regular teaching classroom, probably there'll be question mark. 3 days back, there was a news item that USA was very happy to announce that this year they are giving highest number of visas to Indian students. In fact, if you read the whole piece, which I did, they said because of pandemic, certain institutions were closed. I'm not talking about higher education institution. Within US Embassy, they were, their desk was closed. But what they achieved in July broke the past record. Now, USA is happy that Indian students are going there. Parents are happy that USA will give them a space. We need to self-introspect. That huge number of very talented students are going. They are going not for online study over there. They're going because they will be there in a classroom. Fine? So our spaces are getting narrower and spaces over there is expanding. Apart from brain drain, there's a huge financial cost. So we need to, as soon as possible, when conditions improve, bring our classroom, fine, as such. Now, I also, it was not only that, there were scholars from abroad and other places were talking about this. I came across a very nice piece in Mint. Mint is, another sort of newspaper in that sense. This piece was written by Arun K. Pujari, who happens to be Vice Chancellor of Central City of Rajasthan, if I'm not wrong. This appeared on 8th May 2020. And what Arun Pujari the way he defined pandemic pedagogy was that higher education institutions are now fast adopting to alternative pedagogy to engage students remotely and to continue the teaching and learning process in a teach from home, students at home situation. So he actually, brought this thing together, teach from home, students at home situation. This he called pandemic pedagogy. So the location in terms of teachers at home and students at home, and that's what he says. And then he says, however, pandemic pedagogy should not be confused with concepts like online education and distance education. Distance education was always there. We have second biggest and largest distance education university in India, which is Indira Gandhi National Open University. The biggest is Beijing University. They have also distance education. So distance education was there in earlier. It will remain. It will continue in future. Fine. But he says let's not confuse pandemic pedagogy with online education or distance education. Unlike online education, online teaching is the context of COVID-19 is to carry classroom teaching digitally. So he's making that subtle distinction. We will be still in classroom, but we'll be doing it digitally so as to continue the traditional education programs during the intervening period of the lockdown. So Pujari, probably, I'm not sure whether it's former Vice Chancellor, present Vice Chancellor, but this was important thing which is saying that we are not giving the traditional mode. We're using online platform, but we're carrying the classroom mode, right? And the instructions have to move to virtual mode, which can provide us flexibility in teaching and learning anywhere and any time. And then he talks about the challenges because it was done so speedily, it was abrupt. And it's not about blaming anyone. Pandemic is not anyone's creation. It's a natural thing which comes. As a result, there was a sudden lockdown, there was a sudden disruption, and teachers all over the world. So what is interesting is pandemic has made education global, and pandemic pedagogy is a global phenomenon. So it's not, one cannot isolate. So knowledge platforms are global, right? So anyone can have their own vision, like, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Vishguru. But remember, we are in a global situation, fine? And there has to be global interaction all the time, right? So, and how do we place, especially how do we give respect to different knowledge system? How do we both give and take in terms of knowledge framework globally? So there's a vast potential which has opened up. There's a commercial side to this, and I hope somewhere someone gives a lecture on that, because the commercial side is that bulk of the revenue is being generated by certain firms like on which we are Zoom or Microsoft. Right? It's about, it was already happening in business, but remember, higher education is a mass education system in country. So when we're using the platform, you think of revenue which they'll be generating, right? Nobody can complain, it's important. But, and remember, there are government data. I'm not saying my own data, the government data, we know about this unequal structure. So the government data, and this is the QS ranking which is done, Cochrane Simmons, the ranking, QS ranking. According to that, only 24% of households have access to internet, and this is they're citing 2019 Government of India data. In rural India, the numbers are far lower, with only 4% of households having internet access. And a 2018 Niti Aayog report revealed that 55,000 villages in India did not have mobile network coverage. This I'm speaking from India Today piece, which appeared on January 3, 2021. So all my sources are transparent, so that anyone who wants to go back and use it, please do use it. India Today, January 3, 2021. Shelly Anand has written this, and entire data is from there. And the data, further data says in 2017-18, 36% of schools in India operated without electricity, which shows that what we think of new normal is actually new normal for certain privileged institutions. It's not true for the entire country and all set of people as such, because there's a huge gap and there's a huge amount of money which government is investing into BharatNet. So hopefully the connectivity would be useful, because remember, this online mode and connectivity will links up many things: social service benefits, education, and many other things. There are certain messages which, okay, so this is a kind of request to
Sir, yeah. You can continue. This is just for the participants, that they should be ready with their questions. Please continue, Kariye.
I wish actually participants were with me, because
no, they all are there, sir.
They all there. हाँ, तब रहेंगे ना जब मुझको वो क्वेश्चन करेंगे, बोलेंगे कि आप बिल्कुल गलत बोले, तब मजा आता है. तो थोड़ा सा न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के वैल्यूज को भी देख लें, और क्या पैंडेमिक पेडागोजी उसके लिए सहायक है या नहीं. ये 29 constitutional values are there elaborated in new education policy document 16.4.28 if you look at NEP 2020. And those are absolutely important, trust me. In fact, what Upen Bakshi talked about confessional and sacrificial, virtually start with that. Seva, ahimsa, swachhta, satya, nishkam karm, shanti, sacrifice. Didn't he say, sacrificial? ये न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में जो वैल्यूज है उसको मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ. ये 29 से थोड़ा समय लगेगा. आपको किसी को याद नहीं करना है, जो कुछ भी आदमी आपको जोड़ पाता है वही बहुत है. सो निष्काम कर्म, शांति, सैक्रिफाइस, टॉलरेंस, डाइवर्सिटी, प्लूरलिज्म, राइटियस कंडक्ट, जेंडर सेंसिटिविटी, रिस्पेक्ट फॉर एल्डर्स, respect for all people and their inherent capabilities, regardless of the background, respect for environment, helpfulness, courtesy, patience, forgiveness, empathy, compassion, patriotism, democratic outlook, integrity, responsibility, justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Name a value which is not there, and it's a beautiful combination of deeper human values, soul values of empathy, of respect, with values which are transformative in nature: justice, equality, fine, fraternity, and liberty. So it all combines. These are the values. How would our concern is what kind of pedagogy which we have. Pedagogy has to serve such ends. That's the goal. Pedagogy under new education policy has to ensure that these values which are there as a part of new education policy are achieved. Fine? And they can be achieved with as much respect of accepting differences, respecting our students and their viewpoints, 10, 20, 30, 40. We need to give time. We need to be patient, tolerant, that kind of thing which is there. And this perfectly fits in. And a few years back, I spoke on this, on conformity and, kind of critical pedagogy. And the work which I constantly refer, which is pretty important, is the work of Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. So you may get actually inverse picture. I don't know, it can't be reversed by me, but this is a classic. Paulo Freire is a classic. And Paulo Freire actually questions what we're doing. Paulo Freire says, he says that, what we have is the banking system of education. where we believe that we are the one who deliver and students are retainer, fine. So, we layer after layer, we put in our students' mind that this is knowledge, and it says banking system leads to conformity. What is important is to transform this education from teacher-student to teacher as student and student as a teacher. There's much more detail. I won't go into this. Just raising one doubt, and let me stop over here. See, when we talk of online modes, when we talk of internet structures, as a part of platform, as a part of source and knowledge digging and information digging is great. We need to do that. Fine. So we may not go to the library, we may actually go into internet, but let me go into nitty-gritty. So what do? We have the keywords. And I'm sure all of us are together on this, we all keep on doing. When we type on the Google platform, we write certain keywords and expect certain answer. So I wrote pedagogy during pandemic. I got certain sources. Pandemic plus pedagogy, new education policy, pandemic pedagogy. You can keep on writing this and you can get some overlapping sources, some other sources. But say, for example, let's take an article, okay? Any article which is published in any journal. So what our keywords would give is primarily the words which are mentioned in the title, okay? So if I type oppressed, I'll get this, pedagogy of the oppressed, fine? If I type education, I may not get this. And that's funny, but really ironical, because this is all about education. But ultimately, the platform picks up certain keywords, which either in the title or as the author, or some keywords which you give as a part of article which figures in the keyword. But the online mode does not take that until the Elsevier, until they feed the keywords, the online platform won't take up that one, okay? So my own dilemma is I've got 30 years of Economic Political Weekly bound in my library. I know nobody wants to take. In fact, if I leave outside my home, the Raddiwala will actually wait and take it away. Nobody's waiting to take printed sources anymore, right? But all I know is when I'm doing my research, when I flip through that pages, something which I'm looking on elections may not figure in a title. It may be actually a principle on article on drought. But in between, you'll find very interesting, context of elections during drought times. Okay, so K. Balagopal has this fascinating piece on Tada. But he's talking about how a tribal has to travel 3 days in order to reach the court. So that is about a tribal traveling to the court, but it's about Tada. So I won't get that sense, that richness of that academic contribution by just few keywords. And I'm pleading to all my colleagues over here, please don't reduce education to keywords. It's not keywords. It's about the whole sum. Any author would like you to read the whole article. It's not newspaper headlines. In fact, beyond headlines, there's so much interesting part over there. Fine? And if we believe that technology is impartial, please go on and read about AI, algorithmic, right? Algorithm, they work. You have so this was, I read this piece, Reimagining Algorithm Fairness in India and Beyond, fine? It was published in 2021. It's March 1 to 10, 2021. Reimagining Algorithmic Fairness in India and Beyond. And many of you actually are very much aware how algorithm, the way they're built up, there's inbuilt bias about West and non-West, about gender biases, about color biases. So few things, let me just read out. If ma'am, you have 2 minutes more time.
Yes, sir, please carry on.
So what it says, names, and this is, I'm reading from article, names, subheading is names. Names are revelatory process for caste, religion, gender, and ethnicity, and have contributed to discrimination in India. Banerjee or Khan connote to caste or religion vocation. In fact, we all had experience many times in trains. If you say, what is your name? Ujjwal. The other person says, okay, what is your full name? You say Ujjwal Kumar. Wouldn't say, what is your full name? You don't want to say because the person is not actually asking your name. Person is actually wanting to know your caste, and then you say Ujjwal Kumar Singh, and the person is comfortable because they know you that. Names carry, remember, even our oral thing, it does. What do you think algorithms won't do that? Because they also will have names. Zip codes. Zip codes can correspond to caste, ethnicity, religion, or class. Many Indian zip codes are heterogeneous. Students have told us many times that sometimes their locality reveals the identity. Which South Delhi location you live or which Basti you live. Algorithms actually pick up everything. Occupation. Traditional occupations may correspond to caste, gender, religion, manual scavenging, or butchery. So when you actually fill up a form, do you really fill up everything? And do you think this data set is completely, impartial? Fine, because sometimes, skin tone, mobility, language, all these things are coming up. Algorithms actually pick up all these things. I'm not the best person, but collectively we can learn more about it. So biases, remember, what we call as online platform and scientific tools, we have to adopt, we have to change, but do adopt and change with a question mark. Those are not sort of, the truth answer, the final answers. We have to retain our values as NEP brings in and engage with all these platforms in a critical manner so as to best to both reach out and best to receive in that sense. Let me stop at this stage. I hope to hear from my colleagues and they need to enlighten me. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू सर, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका। एक ऐसा व्याख्यान आपने दिया, जहनों को फिक्र की ओर लेके गए आप एजुकेशन और पेडागोगी के मसले पर। it was very enlightening, and especially what I liked about yours was that the concept of student as your juror. They every year, what you said, that every year we have new batch, since you have such a long experience, and when coming from you, when you say that every year, every batch, every student is our juror, I think that's the magnificent interpretation that you gave. We have some questions here, sir. I think I'll take in order of appearance. The first question, yes, sir.
Ma'am, remember, you cannot get away by praising me. You have to raise a fundamental question and you have to question me so that I'm proven wrong. तो आप बच के नहीं जा सकते। आपको कुछ ऐसा सवाल उठाना पड़ेगा जो मुझको बड़ा परेशान करे। तो आप जब भी समय होगा आप आइएगा, मैं आपको छोड़ूंगा। हाँ, आप मुझको जी।
नहीं, बिल्कुल सर, मुझे लग रहा है कुछ सवाल ऐसे आ भी रहे हैं। Let me just put for the queries by our participants. ये सवाल है गोपाल कुमार जी का। वो कहते हैं, सर से मेरी जिज्ञासा ये है कि लॉकडाउन के समय ऑनलाइन पढ़ाई की लोकप्रियता में बहुत वृद्धि हुई है। क्या ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन ही भविष्य के लिए बेहतर रहेगा या क्लासरूम एजुकेशन ही भविष्य में भी विद्यार्थियों के लिए बेहतर विकल्प बना रहेगा? इसी से जुड़ा हुआ सर अनुज लुगन जी का ही सवाल है, मैं वो भी जोड़ देती हूँ इसके साथ। वो कह रहे हैं, अनुज लुगन जी, सर शुक्रिया आपका, क्या ऑनलाइन शिक्षा को ऑफलाइन शिक्षा, क्लासरूम उन्होंने लिखा है ब्रैकेट में, के विकल्प के रूप में देखा जाना चाहिए या इसे सिर्फ कोरोना महामारी की उपज माना जाए?
हाँ, तो मेरे साथी लोग गोपाल जी और अनुज जी, आप भी प्लीज स्क्रीन पे आ जाए तो बात करने में मजा आएगा। अभी मैम आपका ही मेरे स्क्रीन पे आप ही आ रही हैं बड़े से।
Dear participants, whoever can please switch on their camera, please switch on your camera. I think it will be a very interactive session if we can do that. Yeah. Yes sir, we have a lot of images. Yeah.
अब देखिए, अब अच्छा लग रहा। अब मैं समाज के साथ हूँ, अभी तक तकनीक के साथ था ना. So now actually I'm living in a civilization because we have it's so alienating, जब आप और सिर्फ टेक्नोलॉजी रहती है. और इनफैक्ट वर्ड्स आप जानते हैं, आप जब क्लास लेते हो तो आप ही का चेहरा दिखता रहता है, विच इज सो अनलविंग कि अपने आप को ही देख कर बोल रहे हैं. बट थैंक यू सो मच गोपाल जी और अनु जी दोनों. गोपाल जी दिख नहीं रहे क्या? अनु जी तो आ गए. गोपाल जी कहाँ गए? अब तो मैं वैसा ऑर्डर वाला हूं नहीं वो, लेकिन प्रिंसिपल साहब बैठे होंगे, कहीं अटेंडेंस न काट दें. गोपाल जी प्लीज आ जाइए. ठीक है, चलिए कुछ मजाक हो जाएगा. सी रिमेंबर and let's be honest over here. To connect with new education policy, Delhi University has taken a big step of not incorporating SWAYAM and MOOC as a part of program now. You know that in AC which it was passed, MOOC and SWAYAM are not part of it. But under the new education policy, 40% of the courses students can do with MOOC and SWAYAM. My concern is not about workload, which of course is there, very important thing. My concern is about pedagogy. I think we all use technology in order to dig information. And I'm very open about it. Like, I actually like things like LibGen, which are subversive, which actually gives you a lot of books and articles and Sci-Hub and others. I don't know whether you do it or not. I do it. Fine. I download books, I download articles, I read. So on our fingertips, you have enormous resources available. एक समय था जब हम लोग रिसर्च करते थे तो न्यू लेफ्ट रिव्यू का कौन सा वॉल्यूम कहाँ है और किसका क्या, भाई खोज लिया तो अपने आप में यूरोका मोमेंट था कि नया कुछ खोज लिया. और उस समय ईपीडब्ल्यू के पेजेस फट जाया करते थे क्योंकि पढ़ने वाले सोचते थे कि अपना पढ़ लो, दूसरे का मना कर दो. आज के दिन में कोई परेशानी नहीं है. सो प्लेटफॉर्म्स आर वेरी हेल्पफुल. They give us huge opportunity to download and read as much. पर देखिए ये वही, आप लोग बहुत यंग सब हैं, आप शायद गुजरे होंगे या नहीं गुजरे होंगे. एक समय फोटोस्टैट का चला था. 85 के बाद फोटोस्टैट शुरू हुआ था. उस समय मुझको याद, मैं बता दूं आपको, आप बहुत कम लोग देखे होंगे, जो आजकल आप देखते हैं ना हॉस्पिटल में एक्सरे होता है, बड़ा सा प्लेट रहता है. फोटोस्टैट का एक्सरे प्लेट रहता था और बड़ी मशीन, एक टेबल के बराबर मशीन रहती थी. वो एक पेज डाला जाता था, उल्टा किया, उसका इमेज आया, खोला और वो प्लेट को सुखाया जाता था. हाँ, और उससे फिर प्रिंट निकलता था. तो पुराने अभी मेरे पास पड़े हुए, वो इतने गाढ़े होते थे कि पेजेस चिपक जाते थे. इट वॉज अ स्लो प्रोसेस बट इट वॉज इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड देन एवरीवन हैड पाइल्स ऑफ फोटोस्टैट. गोपाल जी आ गए, नमस्ते आपको. तो फोटोस्टैट के बंडल सबके घर में थे, मेरे घर में अभी भी है, आपके घर में भी होगा. डाउनलोड करने से आदमी पढ़ नहीं लेता है, फोटोस्टैट जमा करने से पढ़ नहीं लेता है, पढ़ने से पढ़ता है. और वो बहुत बड़ी पढ़ाई हमारे यहाँ क्लासरूम में होती है. हम जमा कर लेते हैं, लेकिन क्लासरूम का एक थ्रिल है, एक इमेजिनेशन है. हम कुछ पढ़ के जाते हैं, कुछ सोच के जाते हैं, कुछ वापस पढ़ने के लिए जाते हैं. It's not, remember, classrooms are never one way. In fact, most of us have this experience that students don't come, they don't read and come. हम कंपेयर करते हैं, पर इतना विश्वास है कि कुछ लोग जाकर के फिर पढ़ेंगे, वो मजा आता है. So online and offline don't take as opposites. They can never be substitute for each other. It is true that with pandemic they will coexist. There's no going back. Any technology platform, there's no going back. Although technologies have become obsolete. मैं अपने समय में याद करता हूं कि जूते की दुकान हुआ करती थी और कुछ सालों में मैं देखा वो दुकान बदल करके मोबाइल फोन का हो गया. फोन की दुकान में पहली बार देखा कि पूरा एक दुकान फोन का. और आज के समय में आप बोलेंगे कि फोन का दुकान नहीं होगा तो किसका होगा? इतने मोबाइल फोन के दुकान हैं. पर याद करके मैं अपने समय का बता रहा हूं कि 20-25 साल पहले फोन की दुकान नहीं हुआ करती थी. वो जो उस समय जो हुआ करता था, BSNL MTNL बाद में आता है, जो भारतीय संचार है, वो एक फोन लाता था काले रंग का जिसमें डायल का रहता था. आजकल फोन की इतनी दुकानें हैं. तो टेक्नोलॉजी बदलती है, समाज बदलता है, चीजें बदलेंगी, नो डाउट. बट रिमेंबर, वी आर शेपिंग दैट. सो मोबाइल फोन्स आर रेवोल्यूशनरी गैजेट. इस रेवोल्यूशनरी, कंप्लीट क्रांतिकारी वो चीज है क्योंकि उससे 3 व्हीलर वाला नंबर देता है, टैक्सी वाला नंबर देता है, सब्जी वाला भी देता है, रिक्शा वाला भी रखता है, सब कुछ, हर कुछ हम उससे जुड़े हुए हैं. और अबव ऑल स्कूल के बच्चे उसी पे पढ़ रहे हैं. आप हर गरीब परिवार से पूछेंगे, बोलेगा कि नहीं वो फोन अभी उठा नहीं पाए क्योंकि वो बच्चे के क्लास के लिए था. So for pandemic, it is important, no doubt. I'm not questioning that. But remember, prior to that, elementary schools, government schools were in a very bad stage. It's not that they have, if we cannot go back, we have to go back. And in order to do that, we have to actually go back to our schools. Don't remember the first line of response, the first responder to pandemic were the government hospitals. आप भूलिए नहीं कि सबसे पहले गवर्नमेंट ने भी कहा कि सारे गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल को पैंडेमिक के लिए रखा था. हाँ, प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल्स बाद में और वो नार को कर रहे थे. दे वर नॉट एक्चुअली एग्रीइंग टू दैट. Likewise, our schools are not only schools, our schools are there for refugee settlement, for they're there for people who suffer from because of floods. They all go to school. Schools are a centers of community survival. But above all, the schools are for education of the kids who are the most excluded ones. So the moment we actually go back and put more money into the schools, and Delhi schools have, Delhi government has done so much for schools, which is so important. So if we provide that platform and we enrich that platform, the classroom, it's there, it's going to stay, and there's no substitute. In fact, what we do nowadays, add-on courses do. हम लोग करते हैं ना कि कुछ add-on course करते हैं, जिसका कुछ पैसा करते हैं, वो आते हैं. Online must remain at add-on only, because you can do certain things, but remember, this is not a substitute for classroom. I strongly believe in that, and I've got every reason, because of the whole idea of body, mind, soul will only enrich over there. So, sir, गोयल जी और अनुज जी दोनों, मैं गोपाल जी और अनुज जी दोनों को मैं यही कहूंगा कि आइदर और में नहीं देखा जाए, उसको एक दूसरे के सहायक के रूप में देखा जाए. हाँ, और ज्यादा हमारा जोर क्लासरूम और यूनिवर्सिटी या क्लासेस के ऊपर होना चाहिए.
धन्यवाद सर. एक और प्रश्न है, शांति भूषण जी का है. शांति भूषण जी को भी मैंने देखा था थोड़ी देर पहले, इस पे थे कैमरे पे, फिर मैं उनका प्रश्न पढ़ देती हूँ. He says, due to corona, banking on postmodern techniques instead of using traditional mediums has created a void in teaching learning, which can never be compensated. Still, how it could be compensated? Still, how it could be compensated? Any suggestions, sir? I think he's trying to.
Shanti Bhushan ji is here now.
Yeah, he's there.
Thank you so much, Shanti Bhushan ji. अच्छा, आप पता नहीं, मैं बोलने वाला था, आप क्या बोल नहीं सकते, लेकिन देखिए मेरी भाषा गलत थी. क्या आपको आपकी आवाज आने से मना कर दिया गया है? प्लेटफॉर्म में सब करते हैं
नहीं, we have muted them.
हाँ मैम, अब वो देखिए,
do you want him to speak his question? I do want him to speak his question. I mean,
नहीं, मैं जानना चाहता था कहाँ से कैसे. देखिए मैम, जो आपने जैसे कहा ना म्यूटेड, अब यही देखिए वैज्ञानिक भाषा है जो नई तकनीक के साथ आता है. हम ये नहीं करें कि हमने चुप करवा दिया, हमने उसको अंग्रेजी की टर्म दिया म्यूटेड, क्योंकि अभी उनको चुप रहना है. लेकिन मैं आपके ऊपर कोई ये नहीं लगा रहा हूँ, लेकिन ये यही तकनीक नहीं, यही है. नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, मैं जानना चाहता हूँ, लेकिन समय कम रहेगा. शांति भूषण जी, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण सवाल है और मैं भी इससे जूझता रहता हूँ. मुझको लगता है आप भी जूझ रहे हैं, इसीलिए ये चीज आ रही है. कैसे कर सकते हैं? मेरे हिसाब से तो करीब करीब मैं फेल ही कर रहा हूँ इस मामले में, क्योंकि आपको उसका सब्स्टिट्यूट क्या है, कई मेल्स आ रहे हैं, आपको तरह तरह के मेल आते हैं, स्पेशली दोज हु आर कंसर्न, दोज हु आर सफरिंग, but thank God they have expression, they are at least able to write. Fine. The better side, what I saw, sir, was in optional class, which is not big, which is compared to University standards still only 70. I've seen the best coming from students this year in my 35 years, in the sense there were at least 20 students who regularly summarized reading, they typed and sent. They not only did one reading, they did two on their own, which I never did in my life. So that was the revelation. So what happens, sometimes you find something new coming up because of this disruption. Because what I realized that, especially humanities, social sciences, and I think across, we lack that skill of actually expressing ourselves in writing. We good at speaking, but when it comes to writing, and so students were actually writing and sending. That was one way to connect, but. I know that I've also read online that what they make 4 classrooms on online mode at the same time, and they have discussion over there taking place. So the all kind of things which keeps on happening. So there are ways to improvise, all of us, and maybe what we have to do, in fact, in terms of UGC rules also, teacher-student ratio. If we actually follow that teacher-student ratio, where you have a healthy ratio, आप तमाम प्राइवेट यूनिवर्सिटीज में क्या देख रहे हैं साहब, 20 स्टूडेंट 25 स्टूडेंट, दैट्स इट. 45 स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं, उनको 2 टीए मिलते हैं. तो उनका ऑनलाइन मोड भी एक ऑफलाइन मोड की तरह रहता है, क्योंकि वो 20 स्क्रीन पर रहते हैं, वो इंटरैक्टिव रहते हैं, वो क्वेश्चन करते हैं और एक्चुअली ज्यादा क्लास में आते हैं. तो एक सीधा सपाट उत्तर नहीं मिल पा रहा है. हम वहां पे भी इन प्रैक्टिसेस को कैरी कर सकते हैं, पर रिमेंबर वी आर मास सोसाइटी, वी बिलीव इन मास एजुकेशन. जो रेशियो गवर्नमेंट का प्लान है कि 50% लोग हायर एजुकेशन में आएंगे, हमारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं बढ़ रहा है, लेकिन हमारे क्लासरूम्स हमारे नंबर्स बढ़ रहे हैं. तो हम टीचर्स पे ज्यादा प्रेशर है और इसमें क्वालिटी हमारा नहीं हो रहा है. तो वी नीड मोर टीचर, more classrooms. If we have online, because there is natural disaster pandemic over here, we need more healthy student teacher ratio. तो 15-20 स्टूडेंट के साथ 25 स्टूडेंट के साथ हम कर ही सकते हैं, लेकिन हाँ 650 क्लासरूम में तो नहीं कर सकते शांति जी. तो there are ways to do that, even online. Simple thing is we need to give time, we need to hear students, sir.
Right, sir. Very nicely explained, sir. कई कमेंट्स हैं, मैं थोड़ा सा उनको जल्दी जल्दी पढ़ते हुए फिर अगले प्रश्न की ओर जाऊंगी. डॉक्टर प्रमिता जी कहती हैं, ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन इज द नीड ऑफ द आवर, बट इट कैन नेवर रिप्लेस क्लासरूम टीचिंग. आई थिंक शी अग्रीज. देन अजीत कुमार जी कह रहे हैं, इट्स अ ग्रेट लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस लिसनिंग टू प्रोफेसर उज्जवल टुडे. डॉक्टर सुष्मिता सेज वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव टॉक, वेरी इंस्पायरिंग एंड इंटरेस्टिंग टॉक. अजीत कुमार जी कुछ कह रहे हैं, उसके साथ शायद प्रश्न भी है उनका. सर, यू ब्यूटिफुली ब्रॉट वेरियस नुआंसेस ऑफ पैंडेमिक पेडागोजी, bringing both the teachers and students' point of view. Yes, I agree with Ajit on this. The online classes are available in urban areas. What about the teaching and learning in rural areas, and therefore the whole teaching, learning of this divide? Similarly, students with disabilities and bringing them to the online learning is a bit difficult. Don't you think that majority of students are being deprived of such online learning? What would be their fate when they will be equally competing for competitive and other exams? Moreover, how much toll and harm it is doing on our health? I think that's a very relevant and a very pertinent observations by Ajit ji.
So Ajit ji, एक चीज तो है, देखिए मैं sometimes what happens, we give criticism.
Sir, he's sorry to interrupt, sir. Ajit ji is there. He's there on the camera. You can wave, Ajit. You can just wave. Yeah, that's Ajit Kumar ji. Yes.
बिल्कुल. तो बिल्कुल बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपके इंटरवेंशन के लिए. सवाल से ज्यादा आपकी एक सोच यहाँ पर है. देखिए, हम इस बात को भी मान के चले अजीत जी और हम दोनों सोच रहे हैं एक साथ में कि जरूरत हुई, उसके साथ बदलाव आया, और हम इसको उस सेंस में क्वेश्चन नहीं कर रहे कि बिल्कुल गलत है, इसकी जगह है. लेकिन इसके साथ में जिस तरह के बहिष्कृत समाज की हम बात कर रहे हैं, जैसे आप रूरल इंडिया के आपने उदाहरण दिया, बहुत सटीक उदाहरण दिया, जहां पे फैसिलिटीज नहीं है. कोई दूसरा उत्तर हमसे ये मांगेगा कि अगर ये नहीं होता तो क्या होता. अगर ऑनलाइन कम से कम है तो सही. शायद जब पिछला महामारी हुई थी, लास्ट टाइम व्हेन पैंडेमिक टुक प्लेस, देयर वाज नो सच वे टू इंटरैक्ट. सो वी एक्सेप्ट that this has facilitated partly, but you are absolutely right that when these batches pass out, people will call it pandemic batches. Remember, and you won't remember, so no, why should you remember? There was something called emergency batches. 2 साल तक 3 साल तक कई प्रदेशों में एग्जाम 4 साल चलते थे। आप बीए ज्वाइन किए 71 में, आपको रिजल्ट 75 में मिलते थे। तो आप 71 to 73 बैच होंगे, but 2 years have gone, right? And it has an impact on it. You go to interview, but you go somewhere, people say, okay, you're part of that batch. So it's not your fault. It's, the entire socioeconomic structures, political structures are such, so nobody would fault such students who went through this pandemic. But you absolutely right that, some part of the learning has been sacrificed. Fine. Now, do you get opportunity to catch up? It seems you're not getting opportunity to catch up because this whole momentum, the others are waiting. अगला कोर्स में ज्वाइन करना है, अपॉर्चुनिटी चली गई, अगला बैच आ जाएगा, तो इसलिए कई बार आते हैं कि उस प्रेशर में सीबीएसई को भी करना पड़ रहा है ना? तो ये चैलेंजेस तो रहेंगे। अब कैसे इसकी भरपाई होगी, ये सवाल उठता है। और मुझको लगता है वो भरपाई इस सेंस में ही हो सकती है अगर थोड़ा भी समय उनको क्लासरूम का मिलता है टीचिंग में। And remember, it's not just about classrooms, it's about entire ambience. डिग्री तो आपको हर जगह मिलती है। हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी भी ऑनलाइन दे रही थी, मैं भी अवेयर हूं, बहुत फेलोशिप इंटरव्यू में बैठा हूं। हर बाहर की यूनिवर्सिटी जो प्रेस्टिजियस है वो आपको ऑनलाइन दे रही थी। Many students decided not to be part of it because the fees were nearly the same. Fine, आप थोड़ा बहुत फीस कम कर दिए, आपका एकोमोडेशन में बच रहा है, but all what they were missing was ambience, वो माहौल। फाइन, जेएनयू में सिर्फ क्लासरूम में लोग नहीं सीखते हैं, जेएनयू में ढाबा पे भी सीखते हैं, पेड़ों के नीचे भी बातचीत होती है, वो छोटे छोटे नारों में भी बातचीत होती है। देखिए, आप में से जेएनयू के कितने लाइक करने वाले, नहीं लाइक करने वाले, मेरे लिए अंतर नहीं पड़ता, क्योंकि मैं जानता हूं कि आप सीखते हैं और जहां भी वैसा माहौल मिल जाए आप सीखते हैं। कई शहरों में नहीं मिल पाता है, लेकिन नुक्कड़ पे चाय पे भी लोग सीखते हैं, समय भी बर्बाद करते हैं, पेड़ के नीचे भी वो सीखने का माहौल है। But there is no substitute for that learning where you actually learn with each other. Online actually takes you away from that each other. क्लासरूम की बात नहीं है, कंटेंट की बात नहीं है, पेडागॉजी की बात नहीं है, इट्स अबाउट इंटरेक्शन। तो जब हम एक क्लास में 50 लोग नहीं मिले तो वो क्लास नहीं होता है, वो मिसिंग है, और उसको किसी समय में इस जनरेशन को लेना पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज देयर विल बी वॉइड। वो कैसे लेते हैं, दे विल हैव टू डिसाइड। आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट दे विल डू अनदर एमए, बट वेरेवर द नेक्स्ट टाइम गो इन टर्म्स ऑफ लर्निंग, प्रॉब्ली दे आर गोइंग टू उस संचय को करके उसको सींचने को जरूरत पड़ेगी, मुझको ये लग रहा है। देयर इज नो अदर वे, बिकॉज टाइम रन्स, टाइम्स वन थिंग व्हिच इज नेवर स्टैंडिंग, व्हिच इज टाइम। तो ये तो पैंडेमिक के साथ हो रहा है, चैलेंज तो है, देयर इज सम सैक्रिफाइस व्हिच इज ट्रू।
जी सर, आपने एक थोड़ा सा कमेंट है सतीश शालवे जी का, मैं ये इसलिए यहाँ पे पढ़ना चाहूंगी क्योंकि आपने कहा था कि मुझे आप, ये छोटा सा कमेंट है, ये कहते हैं ऑनलाइन शिक्षा में हम अपने आप को यथार्थ एवं वास्तविकता को सही सही साबित करने में कामयाब हुए हैं। ये सतीश सालवे जी है, ये कह रहे हैं। और ये इनका कमेंट है।
मुझको सतीश जी बहुत गहन है, मुझको समझना पड़ेगा। मैं देखिए ऐसे 2 नजरों से अगर देख पाता हूं, और या से आप एग्री करेंगे, लेकिन एक होता है कि कई लोगों का मानना है कि जब शिक्षा की बात आती है, क्लासरूम की बात आती है, तो इट हैज टू बी प्योर, इट हैज टू बी डिवॉइड ऑफ एनी एक्सटर्नल कंस्ट्रेंट्स, एंड वी कैरी दैट. We won't make any distinction between among the students because a woman and a male, caste or class. At least in public universities we do ensure, and that matters. That's why public universities matters a lot. And I think as a teaching community we have to really stand by that. कि हमारी क्लासरूम में हर तबके के लोग आते हैं, फाइन, और हम उनके साथ जुड़ते हैं। तो अब वहां पर अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि एक ऑनलाइन टीचिंग में जिस ढंग से हम रियलाइज कर रहे हैं, क्लासरूम का जो एटमॉस्फेयर है वहां पे भी रियलाइज करने की जरूरत है, क्योंकि ऑनलाइन में आप जो बात कर रहे हैं हमें नहीं मालूम है, सिर्फ नाम टाइटल देख रहे हैं, कुछ नाम देख रहे हैं, लेकिन को कई बार नहीं देख रहे हैं, बाकी आइडेंटिटीज हम नहीं जानते हैं, तो वहां पे हम एक प्योर फॉर्म इंटरैक्ट कर पाते हैं। ये कई बार ऐसा महसूस होता है। Pure is empty, because I need to be sensitive. So sometimes those small stories have so much of impact. 30 students, 29 would be regular over here. They keep doing it. But then you hear about a story of one woman. And I know in my class, one woman used to come from Khair to North Campus, 3.5 hours bus journey. Used to go to Ramjas College to read newspapers because in our department newspapers are not there. And this was not a classroom thing. It's just she was leaving classroom half an hour earlier every time. So I asked her, is there any problem? She said, sir, I have to go back and I have to reach my home before sunset. Otherwise, my parents won't let me go to the college. Fine? Now, it's not about pure thing. It's about actually placing teaching ourselves into that context, learning about that concerned individual, making special provision for that individual. That can happen only in the classroom. That cannot happen. So online would be pure because she need not travel over there. She can be back home and do this. Can engage with us. She doesn't have to sunrise, sunset. It's all at home. But remember that woman's fact that she could go out only because he got admission and she can take this education is a huge asset. She wouldn't have otherwise gone. So remember, for many women students, this is the first opportunity to actually go out and interact and learn about society. Right? There are much more learned people over here. My women colleague would tell us more about this. But I think those education becomes a kind of, a way, a medium to do something more, to learn something more. But probably this thing need to sink in my mind in order to respond to what you said, Satish ji. So if I'm not, I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, sir. हमारे प्रिंसिपल सर भी हैं, प्रोफेसर ज्ञानतोष झा सर, ही इज देयर।
प्रिंसिपल सर ही हैं, आप ऐसे क्यों बोल रही हैं? मैं बहुत
नहीं सर हैं, सर सारे व्याख्यान में प्रेजेंट रहते हैं, सुनते हैं सर, ही इज हियर।
बिल्कुल मैं बिल्कुल
सर
मैं यही हूँ।
मैं जान रहा हूँ, लेकिन मैं देखिए आप, हाँ बिल्कुल, हाँ नहीं ये फोरम बहुत कम जगह मिलता है ज्ञानतोष जी, जो मैं बातें करता हूँ बहुत कम जगह, ऐसे मैं बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ। देखिए अभी जेएनयू पे बात होने लगी है, सतीश जी ने नहीं, गोपाल जी ने कुछ लिखा है।
गोपाल जी ने लिखा है, मैं पढ़ देती हूँ। जेएनयू में वहां के छात्रों,
टिप्पणी के बाद मुझे कुछ बोलना है, तो इसलिए मैं
सर आप बोले सर, वो तो मेरे ख्याल से
नहीं, आप गोपाल जी की टिप्पणी ले।
अच्छा, मैं पढ़ देती हूँ। जेएनयू में वहां के छात्रों से ज्यादा बाहर के छात्रों ने सीखा है। जेएनयू उन विश्वविद्यालयों में शामिल है जिसने खुद के छात्रों से ज्यादा संख्या में बाहर के छात्रों का जीवन बना दिया है।
बिल्कुल। और इसमें बहुत ही गहन चीज बता रहे हैं कि कोई एक विद्यार्थी जो जाता है, पढ़ता है, 4 और विद्यार्थियों के साथ जुड़ता है, वो आगे चीज को लेकर के जाता है। बहुत बेहतरीन चीज आपने बताया। इसलिए जो हमारे क्लासरूम का कंसेप्ट कैसे, गोपाल जी इसको आप एक आर्टिकल में लिखे, मैं बता रहा हूँ, हम लोग का हो चुका है, हमेशा हम सोचते हैं आर्टिकल में लिखना पड़ेगा, डिमांड है, पर बेहतरीन आइडिया आपने दिया है। बिल्कुल
जी सर।
मैं ज्ञानतेज जी बोलना है, मैं ज्ञानतेज जी आपको
जी एक तो सर आपका शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि आपने हमारे लिए समय निकाला, आपकी व्यवस्था बहुत थी और मेरे अनुरोध को आपने स्वीकार किया।
मुझको ऐसे मत बोला करो, आपको मालूम है सच्चाई, आप बोलिए कि मैं कितना खुश होता हूँ क्या मौका देते हैं, क्योंकि नहीं बिल्कुल आप ये मत बोलिए।
वो आप खुश होते हैं, लेकिन सच में आपकी व्यवस्था बहुत थी और इस बार आपका टाइम फिक्स करने में हम लोगों को दिक्कत थोड़ी हो रही थी, लेकिन हमारी इच्छा थी कि आपको बिल्कुल आपका व्याख्यान कराना ही है और हम उसमें कामयाब रहे। दूसरी बात, आपने बहुत अच्छे से जो पेंडेमिक के टाइम में पेडागोजी की बात आपने की और बहुत नई नई बातें आपसे सीखने को हर बार मिलती है और इस बार भी मिली। जो आप जेएनयू के संदर्भ में बात कर रहे थे, मैं थोड़ा सा बहुत पहले कबीर पर आपको ले जाना चाहता हूँ कि कबीर कहते थे, तू कहता है कागज की लेखी, मैं कहता हूँ आँखीं देखी। तो अनुभव से और लोगों के साथ मिलकर के बहुत कुछ सीखता है आदमी, और खास करके जो अपने पीयर्स होते हैं उनके साथ सीखने का तो मौका मिलता ही है। तो क्लासरूम टीचिंग का तो निश्चित रूप से कोई जवाब नहीं है, लेकिन अब है कि जो बदलता हुआ समय है, बदलती हुई जो सामने आ रही चुनौतियां हैं, उसका मुकाबला एक उत्कृष्ट शिक्षक कैसे करे। क्या वही अपने जो आदर्श के ढांचे या खोल को ओढ़े हुए रहे, या नई टेक्नोलॉजी को अडॉप्ट करे और उसके साथ अपने भीतर बदलाव करे। यही हमारा उद्देश्य है इस पूरे के पूरे पुनश्चर्या पाठ्यक्रम का। और इसमें जिस तरह से इस पेंडेमिक के बहाने, मुझे याद है सर कि जब पिछले मार्च में 2020 के मार्च में जब लॉकडाउन लगा था और मैंने मेल लिखा अपने शिक्षकों को कि आप वेबसाइट के लिए अपना स्टडी मटेरियल भेजिए, हम अपलोड करेंगे। तो उसमें भी शुरुआत में दिक्कतें हुई, लेकिन धीरे धीरे करके लोग कैसे कैसे फिर ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म की ओर शिफ्ट किए, और चाहे मजबूरी में ही सही, अब ऑनलाइन शिक्षा तो निश्चित रूप से एक तरह से एक औजार के रूप में हमारे साथ जुड़ गई है वो पद्धति। तो ये भी एक सच है। तो इसमें पेडागोजी में या जो पैराडाइम शिफ्ट हो रहा है, इसमें क्या बदलाव आएगा, इसको लेकर के आपने बखूबी अपनी बातें कही। और पेंडेमिक ने रास्ता भी सिखाया है, पेंडेमिक ने चुनौतियां भी दी हैं, और पेंडेमिक से हमने बहुत कुछ सीखा भी है। और ये आगे आने वाले समय में मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि शिक्षण पद्धति और शिक्षक की भूमिका के लिए भी बहुत बड़ा चुनौती बन के आया है। इसको भी हमें समझना चाहिए। तो क्लासरूम टीचिंग और इसकी जो ऑनलाइन टीचिंग है, मैं इस बहस में नहीं पढ़ना चाहता। मैं तो यही कहूँगा आप ही को संदर्भ दे करके कि सबका समावेश हो और हम टेक्नोलॉजी में भी पीछे नहीं हो, लेकिन जो चीज़ साथ जुड़ करके बात करने में जो आनंद आता है, जो सीखने की एक व्यवहारिकता है, वो निश्चित रूप से बनी रहनी चाहिए। तो आपने जिस तरह से आज के अपने व्याख्यान से बहुत सारी नई बातें और अपने पुराने, जब आपको सीपीडीएचई में किताब मिली थी उसका हवाला दे करके जो चीज़ें हमसे आपने साझा की है, निश्चित रूप से हम सब लोगों ने बहुत कुछ सीखा है और हम सीखने के लिए इस तरह का कार्यक्रम करते हैं। मैं आगे भी चाहूँगा कि आपके साथ कुछ इस तरह के जो कुछ बातें, जब भी आपसे इंटरेक्शन होता है तो कुछ नई बात सामने आती है कि लाइब्रेरी के लिए क्या करना चाहिए, एकेडमिक स्टैंडर्ड के लिए क्या करना चाहिए, रिसर्च के लिए क्या करना चाहिए, पब्लिकेशन के लिए क्या करना चाहिए। तो एक रिसर्च और पब्लिकेशन पे भी मैं एक सत्र आपका आगे चाहूँगा कि एक खास करके सोशल साइंस में उतनी दिक्कत नहीं है, सोशल साइंस में बहुत दिक्कत है और सही दिग्दर्शन और मार्गदर्शन की आवश्यकता है। तो उसमें अगर आपका सहयोग मुझे मिलेगा तो निश्चित रूप से हम लोग कुछ अच्छा कर पाएंगे। तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, आपका आभार, आपने समय दिया। थैंक यू सर। थैंक यू
सर।
थैंक यू सर। सर की बात को ही आगे बढ़ाते हुए मुझे एक शेर याद आता है कि जैसे सर ने कहा कि सबका साथ, हम सबको साथ लेके चलना है। किसी शायर का शेर है कि हयात लेके चलो, कायनात लेके चलो, चलो तो सारे जमाने को साथ लेके चलो। और इसी खूबसूरत सोच के साथ मैं आज का ये सत्र कंक्लूड करती हूँ। सर, इतना अच्छा लगा आपकी बातें सुनकर, and I would like to convey my thanks on behalf of my entire team, our principals, honorable principal sir, Professor Gyantosh Kumar Jha, and the IQAC coordinator, convener, Dr. Vinita Chuli, and on behalf of my entire team and on behalf of all the participants जिनकी अभी भी टिप्पणियां और कमेंट्स आ रही हैं सर चैट बॉक्स में, आप देख सकते हैं, उनकी सबकी तरफ से आपका तहे दिल से बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। बहुत अच्छा लगा सर, आपने गौर फिक्र इतने इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक पे किया। नमस्कार, थैंक यू सो मच, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सो मच। I'll take leave now.
जी सर, थैंक यू सो मच।